Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for Naturalist 101 here in our Savannah office. And thank you especially to those of you joining online. Also, big thank you to our sponsors that are now over there in the corner for helping support our programming so we can keep it free to members for anyone to attend these different programs. And also to our members, if you're members with OHM, thank you, because your fees also go to allowing us to do different education programs as well. But no one came to see me, but we have two very special guests tonight from the Reef National Marine Sanctuary that are going to give us a big introduction to that. So we have the chapter director, Sarah Porter, and we also have the outreach coordinator, Daniel Oxman. So we'll hand it over to them.
All right. Oh, there's clapping. I love that. Thank you. As Stephanie mentioned, my name is Sarah Porter. I am the chapter director for Grays Reef with the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation. And I have my wonderful colleague here with me today.
Hi, my name is Danielle Oxman. I am outreach coordinator. I also run our social media, and I'm our volunteer coordinator.
So all the things. Yes. But yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. We've really been looking forward to coming out tonight to presenting. I am relatively new to Savannah. I moved here in September for the role. I'd never been to Savannah before, and I said, wow, I hope I like it. I guess I do. But I can't even tell you how many people have already told me in the last 7 months that I need to meet 100 Miles because they are just an incredible organization. So look, here we are. All right, so just a little background on the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation. That's the organization that I work for. We work very closely with NOAA and the Sanctuary team. We collaborate, but the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation is the official nonprofit partner to our National Marine Sanctuary system. So we are the voice, we are the advocate, we raise awareness, we raise visibility, we help elevate the sanctuaries, we raise funds because we can't do this work without the proper support. We implement different conservation initiatives, public programming, a lot of outreach. So in a nutshell, that is what the foundation does, and I specifically am here for Grays Reef. All right, so Grays Reef, that is why we are here. Has anyone actually been out to Grays Reef? All right, and yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, me too. So I am a new diver who has very little dive experience. So I have a goal. I am working my way up to be able to dive Grays Reef. And Danny, I know you're going to get out there at some point. What do you think you're the most excited about seeing or experiencing?
I think I've done our virtual dive experience that we have at our visitor center so many times, and we always see a nurse shark that is taking a nap. And I always joke that if I was a shark, I would be a nurse shark, because I would love to just take random naps throughout the day. So I'm really excited to see a nurse shark napping. But I'm also relatively new to Savannah and very, very new to Grays Reef. I just joined the team back in January. So there may be some questions that I don't know the answer to, but I'll do my best.
We'll try. That's also why I brought you. Yes. So yeah, we always like to give a little overview of what does it mean to be a National Marine Sanctuary. So we are literally America's underwater national parks. So there are less of them. There are only 18. I think we have 63 national parks. And if you count historic sites and forts, I think it's 450. A lot easier to get into a national park. You can buy an annual park pass and you can drive right in. Don't recommend that with our sanctuary. So yeah, there's reasons why people are less familiar. But a National Marine Sanctuary is federally protected waters, and it includes habitats like rocky reefs and ledges, which would be Grays Reef, massive underwater kelp forests, deep sea corals, different underwater archaeological sites, and maritime history. So they're all designated for different reasons, but it's because they're so unique and so special and worthy of conservation. You know, something has given it that status. Again, similar to our national parks. But we also want to ensure, just like our national parks, that there's access. These are not kept off limits. And actually, there's no fee to enter a marine sanctuary. So just like the parks, you can't necessarily do whatever you want. Please pick up your trash. But 2/3 of Grays Reef is completely open to boating, to fishing, to diving. Because again, these are our parks. We own own them as American taxpayers, so we want people to experience them. We also like to think of sanctuaries as economic drivers. So depending on where you are, there can be a really large tourism industry that has built up around the sanctuary. So again, snorkeling, scuba diving, boating, fishes, commercially valuable fisheries, fishing tournaments. They create so many jobs, so there's a reason why these places are special in addition to how unique they are, and again, worthy of conservation. They really do add a lot to our local economies, and another reason we want to protect them. All right, so here is a map of all our 18 sanctuaries. You can see that the West Coast is kind of hogging most of them. I think, yeah, we have 6 now. We actually added just a few more in the last few months. Ontario and Chumash Heritage are new sanctuaries, so we went from 16 to 18. And then you can see Grays Reef out here. We are this red dot. Our friends are kind of far. You have to go north up to Monitor, which is off the coast of North Carolina. That's the site of the famous shipwreck, the USS Monitor. And then if you want to go down to the Keys, I think that's what, about 10 hours south of here?
Yeah.
So again, I keep using the word special, but the fact that Georgia has one of our national marine sanctuaries right off our coast is truly incredible. And we really, again, want to spread that message because not everyone is familiar that we have, again, this really unique habitat. So it's about 19 miles off the coast of South Below and about 40 off the coast of Savannah. So yeah, we heard a little bit about Milton Sam Gray. So before the 1960s, the waters off the coast of Georgia were relatively unexplored. And Sam Gray in 1961, he was a local marine taxonomist and biologist, and he was hired to actually go offshore and collect different marine invertebrates because we really didn't know what lived right off our coast. He worked with the Gullah Geechee community, and he was informed that there was a very diverse habitat not that far offshore that was also known as a really good fishing spot. Again, this was unbeknownst to us. He went out there, collected a bunch of invertebrates, did his magic scientific thing, and really introduced this area to what we share our waters with. And then in 1974, it became known as Grays Reef, just to recognize his contribution to giving us a better understanding of that offshore marine life, specifically invertebrates. And then in 1981, Jimmy Carter said, hey, this is a pretty cool spot. I think this needs to be officially designated as a national marine sanctuary. So we are coming up to our 45th anniversary in January, with the January 11th. Is that our birthday? So we're probably gonna have a party? Okay. But yeah, 45 years. It is pretty amazing. And now that we have 18 of these in the U.S.
And a little just addition on
Yes,
the designation of the National Marine Sanctuary. So Jane Yarn, who is a Georgia local, actually worked very closely with President Jimmy Carter, and she's the one who put Grays Reef on his radar. And rumor has it she kind of like nudged him a lot, and then finally he was just like, okay, I'll do it.
Gotta give the ladies credit.
Yes.
It's sure what Jane said. Come on, dude, come on. All right, so you may have remembered in the video that this was referred to a live bottom reef. And before I joined the team and came down here, I'll be honest, that was a term I had never heard before. I was like, live bottom reef, what does that mean? Because usually we think coral reef. Anytime you hear reef, I mean, that's what I think. I think of a coral reef. I love this photo. I love these colors and just how vibrant and full of life it is. I mean, this is an actual photo taken of a section of Grays Reef. But I will say, this is probably not the picture that we always have in our head when we think about coastal Georgia, or when we think about the waters off of Tybee. But when you get further out, there are places like Grays Reef that actually do look like this. Granted, depending on the day of the visibility, but we do have some amazing underwater video and underwater photos that are just crystal clear. And the reason it's called live bottom is because literally the bottom is alive. It is a densely carpeted blanket of invertebrates, coral, sea squirt, sea sponge, tunicates, crabs, invertebrates. So you can't even see the rocks or the sand because there's just so much living there. So that's why it's called live bottom. Again, different than A coral reef, it has coral, but it's not necessarily made of coral, like, again, when we're thinking about snorkeling in the Caribbean. And Gray's Reef is one of the largest live bottom reefs in the southeast. So again, amazing that we have this, 22 square miles. Well, let's talk about what lives there. So we have over 200 species of fish, 900 species of invertebrates. That's almost 1,200 species of animal that call Gray's Reef home. And again, in just those 22 densely populated miles. It's about 65 feet deep. So again, it's not one of the really deep water sanctuaries. Again, great for scuba diving because you don't have to go 120 feet down like you do in some of the other places, or to see those shipwrecks. A lot of those are in really deep water. I wish I had, we were talking about sea turtles. One of my favorite Gray's Reef facts is that the sea turtles will actually take little naps, just like you were talking about the nurse sharks. They'll take little naps in the ledges, which is so cute. And then they also use the ledges to scrape off barnacles and other creatures living on their shells. And it's like, that's amazing. So yeah, again, it just provides such a critical habitat to so many animals. All right, one of our other friends that I'm sure many of you are familiar with, especially living in this area, is the North Atlantic right whale. They are incredibly endangered. Our best guess is there's only about 350 animals left in the entire world. And that includes only 70 breeding females. So again, conservation is so important. So what they do is, in the summer, they are up in New England and Canada, and they are getting as fat as possible, and they are eating so much plankton, and they are preparing, the females are preparing to come down starting in about mid-November, literally right here to the southeast. That includes the coast of Georgia, that includes Gray's Reef, because that is part of their winter calving ground. So they come to Georgia to have their babies. This is where they give birth, is in the southeast. One of the ways that the foundation helps support these initiatives is we are currently installing 7 more AIS systems. That's automated information system. There are these different stations, and they're shore-based, and what they do is they emit radio signals, and boats can receive them. So boats receive a radio signal from one of these stations when a right whale has been spotted, or they're entering the territory where at some point a right whale was seen. They get an alert. It says, hey, might want to slow down. Whales have been spotted in this area. Also, if you're a vessel, you don't want to hit a whale. Even if you don't even care about whales. If you don't want to hit them because it's like hitting a school bus. Your boat is not going to do well. So we actually are seeing really good results and getting a good response. These AIS systems are installed in other places in the U.S. We have some up in Stellwagen Bank, which is another marine sanctuary in Massachusetts. And is there anything else about AIS? I'm still learning a lot. Anything I forgot about how they work?
Most of it, yeah, that's
okay.
got it all.
So yeah, we are installing 7 more up and down the coast of Georgia, including one in South Carolina and one in northern Florida.
And are these automated stations, or is there a live person banking the signals?
So I know there's also there's the aerial surveys, so planes will go out, DNR is looking for the whales, and then it also has the data of at some point when a whale has been spotted. So it could be in real time, or it could be also in the past. We know that this is an area, because basically they're using a corridor to come down here. And one of the reasons that it can be so hard to track right whales is they don't have a dorsal fin. So unlike other kinds of whales, you can put a tag on them, you can put a tracker. Without that dorsal fin, it's very difficult. And I watched a very complicated video the other day of researchers going out on a vessel with a very long stick that has a suction cup on the end, and they are trying to stick the whale with that suction cup because the suction cup has the tag. The record for a suction cup staying on a right whale is about 11 hours. So again,
I thought you were going to say about 11 minutes.
Oh, I guess 11 hours is better than 11 minutes, but not great. So we are exploring what are the ways that technology and conservation can come together. Does anyone know why they're actually called right whales, how they got their name? We love asking school groups this question when they come in.
Because they were the right whale for whalers to catch.
Yes,
Right.
100%. They were the right whale to hunt. Now we say they're the right whale to save. And we even have stickers that say that. Yes, absolutely. So,
One thing
Yeah,
to touch
yeah,
on, yeah, so they're going to be starting their migration back up north very soon. They typically start moving up north around end of April, early May. So we really are approaching that time where the moms and their babies are going to be heading back up north for the heating season.
yes. All right, and actually, I feel like I've been doing too much talking. I'm going to pass over to you.
Hello everyone again. So I'm going to touch a little bit on just kind of why Gray's Reef has become such a biodiverse ecosystem. So it's just filled with life. And it actually has nothing to do with Gray's Reef itself. So we're going to take a step back and we're going to come to the shore. So Georgia is a very, very amazing place, and in Savannah we are part of a watershed. We have these 5 main rivers that come all across the state and eventually bleed out into the ocean. Well, right off the ocean, we have Gray's Reef. This fresh water is going to bring loads of nutrients as well as larvae out to the reef. Of course, it does also bring out some pollution, but that is one of the reasons why we have so much life at Gray's Reef. In addition to the fresh water, we also have oceanic currents that are going to bring nutrients and larvae to the reef. The main one is the warm water Gulf Stream current that's going to come up the coast, and you can see it cuts pretty much right on top of Gray's Reef. We do have a little bit of the northern Labrador current that comes down, but you can see it doesn't really come down far enough, but it does still kind of push some nutrients down there. Because Gray's Reef is such a biodiverse ecosystem, we want to make sure it is staying that way. So most of the science that we do in the sanctuary is going to be monitoring. As Sarah mentioned, the northern 2/3 of the sanctuary is open to the public. The southern 1/3 is not open to the public. This is reserved for our researchers. This allows our scientists to study the reef without the impacts of human activities, which is really, really great. We can also go into the northern 2/3 for comparisons as well. Most of the type of monitoring that we are going to do, we do different fish surveys, invertebrate surveys. You can see some of our divers down there doing different surveys. We also have hydrophones stationed out along the reef so we can listen to the organisms that are out there. One of the main organisms that we hear through the hydrophones are snapping shrimp, which are very loud. And I feel like that's loud and shrimp are normally not 2 words that most people put together, but they are extremely vocal. But we also work closely with different universities. So for example, UGA will have gliders that can sometimes go through the reef. They kind of look like those torpedoes that when you're in a pool, you like throw at your friends or siblings. I used to throw them at my siblings. And these also can pick up underwater sound. So it can help us learn what is in the area based on sound. We also do acoustic telemetry. So this is tagging different types of fish, not orthoplantic right whales. But tagging different types of fish, and when they get within a certain range of one of these acoustic telemetry tools, they'll send a ping. And then we can go and collect that data and see, oh, fish number 251 was around this marker. So we can see which fish are calling Gray's Reef home, and then which fish are just kind of there for a vacation. Other research that we do is we do a lot of mapping, not just of Gray's Reef itself, but we also do mapping along the entire South Atlantic Bight to see if there are any other areas that are similar to Gray's Reef with live bottom structures and very, very high biodiversity.
Have you found any other living bottoms?
Lake Plateau, right?
Yeah, which is huge.
Yeah. Lake Plateau. I forget exactly where it is, but there
It's further off the coast.
Thank you, further off the coast. They have found some other live bottom reef structures. Yes. We are not the only ones that do research out on Gray's Reef, and I say we, I mean NOAA. We partner with a lot of other federal and state and university organizations that all come together to learn more about Gray's Reef. This is so amazing and so important to have all of these different organizations coming together, because the more we learn, the more we get to share with you all. This is our brand new research vessel. We're so excited about it. We just got it in 2023. It is called the RV Gannet. The RV stands for research vessel. I recently learned this actually. It is 52 feet and it can fit 15 passengers and 3 crew members. It does have a berth so we can spend overnight there. It has a little bed. They are very comfy. I have laid in one before. On the dock, it hasn't. I have not been to Gray's Reef yet. But so this is our platform for all of our scientific research as well as our dive operations, and we are so excited that we have it. We have another research vessel that I'm not even going to put up here because it doesn't compare. Called the RV Sam Gray, and I believe that one can only fit 6 people total. Don't quote me on that number. I believe it's 6, but it's significantly less than the RV Gannet. And for the birders in the room, yes, it is named after the bird.
Is that a SKO?
Sorry?
Is that Skidway?
Yes, yes.
Yep,
Stop
you
down
can
at
see it.
SEO.
Close to the aquarium, you just walk down to the water, you'll see it. She's shiny.
Sometimes we have to like look past the RV Savannah.
Well, sure.
You see the RV Savannah, that is a massive ship.
So it's just down from Priest Landing,
Sorry,
on Skidaway, just down from Priest Landing.
I believe it's called Priest Landing. It's at the campus, if that's called Priest Landing.
I think that's, yeah, I think Priest Landing is outside the campus. So do you know where like the UGA Aquarium is in the Marine Extension Program?
So there.
It's
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're at the aquarium, you'll see it.
Okay, so getting to Gray's Reef. As Sarah already mentioned, Gray's Reef is 19 miles from the closest piece of land, so it's not exactly like you can just walk off of Tybee and be like, oh, hey, I'm at Gray's Reef. Once you can get to Gray's Reef with some kind of vessel, there is not a gate, there's not a sign, there is not someone sitting in a booth saying, all right, $5 per
Where's your
person.
permit?
The only way that you know you are at Gray's Reef is through this yellow buoy. This is a NOAA buoy. It's station number 41008. You can actually just look up Gray's Reef buoy and it'll take you to that page. They have loads of data that they can share that is free to the public. They will get wind data, they get wave height, air temperature, sea temperature, and loads of other data that a lot of vessels and boaters use if they're going to be cruising through that area.
We have a question online about the estimated cost to install or use the station and whether or not they have a lifespan.
A buoy station? I don't know. I'm not sure, but I could probably ask someone. We, like Gray's Reef, we actually don't monitor this particular buoy. This is one of the NOAA buoys. So they have quite a few throughout the United States, all along the coast. So I don't know exactly what their lifespan, but I do know, because I just learned this, they have solar panels on them, and the solar panels are actually what power a lot of the data transmission. So that's maybe an answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, once you get yourself to Gray's Reef, there are 2 main activities that visitors like to do, and that is fishing and diving. So with fishing, we do have some regulations in place. The first is that we only allow rod and reel or hand line fishing at Gray's Reef. You do also need to follow state and federal fishing regulations. So NOAA Fisheries, they often have a lot of information on those regulations based on regions. So they're a great resource to check out what the best fishing practices would be out in Gray's Reef. On our website, we also have a link that talks about best fishing practices out at Gray's Reef. When you are in Gray's Reef, when you're in that northern 2/3 area, because remember you cannot be in the southern 1/3, you are also not allowed to anchor. This is to protect the live bottom area. As divers, you can go out there as well. Average depth is around 65 feet. Visibility on a good day is probably, say, 40 feet on a good day. So it's not Caribbean diving where you're getting, 100 plus feet of visibility. So we don't take any divers out, as I mentioned, but we do recommend that divers have at least their advanced certification due to the visibility, but also due to the ocean currents. The currents can be pretty unpredictable out there.
No one gets swept away.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, just a little bit more about the foundation and the chapter. So another reason we are so special, and we'll keep using that word, is out of our 18 National Marine Sanctuaries, only 2 sites actually have chapters. So Monterey Bay, they've been up and running for a while, and Grace Reef. So we are the local advocate on the ground. Our mission is to support the research and the conservation. Again, we partner very closely with NOAA, strengthen education and awareness of the sanctuary, and literally raise the funds so we can continue to do this work. And one of the ways that we do this is through our Ocean Discovery Center. It is downtown, it's on MLK Boulevard. Has anyone been into it?
I've seen it.
Yeah, I have.
I'm there all the time. If you want to come say hi to me, I will be there.
Has anyone driven by it? That's normally what I get, is people are like, oh yeah, I drive by that, and then, well, what is that? All right, so I will tell you. So it is the free and interpretive visitor center to connect our community to Grace Reef. We always have this conversation. We know that we can't bring everyone to the reef. Are there ways to bring the reef to everyone? And that is so critically important that we figure out ways to connect and educate. I did go ahead and steal my favorite quote from Sir David Attenborough. No one will protect what they don't care about, and no one will care about what they have never experienced. And I think that could not ring more true right now. So it is a community hub, it is a community space. It is about to look very different. So if you come in today or tomorrow and visit us, we'll both be there. We do, we have exhibits, we have things to do, we still host a lot of families, school groups, but the big news is our new and permanent exhibits are moving in this summer. So we're so pumped. Museum quality exhibits, immersive, hands-on. The space is going to be completely transformed. And again, this is free. I've had a lot of conversations with parents and grandparents in Savannah who have told me there's very little free things to do, especially like on the museum side or on the educational side that they can take their kids to. So again, that is a value add. That is a service that we provide the community and the 17 million tourists that come here a year. We all know that Savannah is a top destination.
You said this summer, June, July, August.
Oh, it's August.
Hoping August.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then when school's back in session, we'll open our doors again. We also are planning a grand reopening in October, so keep your eyes open, for the big party that we're gonna have. Danny mentioned that one of the things we have is a virtual dive. That's been very popular, so I don't know if anyone here has used a VR headset, but we have footage of the reef that we've turned into a VR experience. So again, that's one way to connect people. Adults love it, the kids love it. I'm a nerd, I'm super into VR. I think VR is one of the coolest things that humans have made. But it's great, like a kid will have fun and you'll hear him go, I just saw a sea turtle! And then he'll turn and go, I just saw a shark! And again, I mean, most of them probably won't get to dive Grace Reef, or it's hard to get your scuba diving certification. So yeah, just providing activities like that for our community. And the last thing that we want to share is our next big event that is coming up on May 10th. It's called Make ROV. This is an annual competition. This year the foundation and the sanctuary are the official hosts. It's at the Chatham Aquatic Center. And this is an ROV competition that stands for Remotely Operated Vehicles. It is specifically for students, so elementary all the way up to college. And what they do is they form teams and they literally build underwater robots. And they compete. We actually got to go out to teeming Marine Science Academy a few months ago, and we visited an 8th grade class, an 8th grade robotics class, and they showed us their underwater robots, and it was just mind-blowing what these kids are building themselves. They even have like claws that move around because part of the competition is they're gonna have to like pick stuff up in the pool.
Yeah. All of the tasks, well, they have to do a lot of different things. It provides a lot of technical, engineering, and marketing experience to the kiddos that are participating. So they have to pretty much sell their ROV product. So they have to go through all these technical specs. They have to turn in technical documentation before the event. It gets scored by judges. They have to make a poster, a marketing display that will also be scored by judges. They have to do an engineering interview, and then the best part is the actual mission task. So they will do that in the pool. We are offering 3 different levels: Scout, Navigator, and Ranger. Ranger is the high school level. And actually last year, we had a Ranger team that moved on to the World's competition. World's competition.
In Germany.
Yes. This year, the World's competition is going to be in June at Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary, so up in Michigan. So maybe one of our teams will go again, but we are hosting the entire Southeast United States. That competition is happening here in Savannah. It is open to the public.
Yep, you come watch.
Yes.
It'll be your, yeah.
Or volunteer.
Or volunteer.
Oh my gosh, yes, please.
I'm gonna get to that, don't you worry.
But actually, yeah, and that team from Georgia that went on to the World Championship last year, they won. I mean,
They won.
that's amazing. That Georgia team won the
It's
World
so
Championship. So, I think there's really, that team was high school, I believe.
Yes, Rangers High School.
Yeah, Ranger. So yeah, it's starting in different age groups. So Scouts are more elementary, right? And then
Navigators
like
around the middle school. And then colleges, universities, they can participate. Typically, they don't participate in the regional competitions. They normally just go straight and compete at world competitions. But the stuff that they're doing in the pool is supposed to mimic what an ROV or underwater robot would actually do in the scientific field. So I just made PVC hydrophone, and they actually have to swap it out with their underwater robots. So there's a lot of very cool and applicable skills that these kiddos are going to be learning for this competition. And I'm really excited to be hosting it this year. It's all I talk about lately.
well, it's all you do is because you're basically running point on the entire competition. And something I just personally love about it is it really introduces kids to applicable STEM opportunities, but also marine technology careers that they might not get access to. So again, really training kids or just showing them the opportunities that are out there. And again, I just think it's such a valuable program, and we're really honored to be offering it to the community.
All right.
So here's some pictures of our volunteers. Yeah, share a little bit more about.
So as I mentioned, one of my hats is being the volunteer coordinator. So we have loads of different volunteer opportunities for anyone who would like to be a volunteer. I'm gonna really push the May ROE event just because that is coming up. So anyone who's interested in volunteering, my card is over near the sign-up sheet with my email. So please reach out, or if you know someone who you're like, oh, this person would be an amazing technical documentation judge. Very specific.
Dreams of growing up to be.
Yes. So there are, judge positions that do require some kind of experience, either in engineering or marketing, for example. But there are also just general volunteer positions. There are scorekeepers. There are team wranglers. There are runners. We just have an age requirement of 16 and older. So anyone who is 16 and up that is interested in volunteering for the Make RV competition, please reach out to me because we are definitely still looking for volunteers. Other than that competition, we do have volunteers that are running or are going to hopefully be helping us run our visitor center, so the Ocean Discovery Center in downtown Savannah. We have 2 main positions that are going to be there for volunteers. We have our visitor specialists. They kind of act as greeters. They welcome people into the space. They give a very brief Raise Reef 101 spiel. And then we also have our interpreter specialist. That position is not quite open yet because we're still working out the training. It would be like professional interpretive training that would come with that position. Other positions, we have our street team volunteers. So I'm also the outreach lady. So I take our street team volunteers to outreach events that we have been invited to. We recently went to Coast Fest down in Brunswick, which was so much fun with some of our volunteers. Sarah was also there. Not as volunteer. And then we have our vessel operation volunteers. Our vessel operations volunteers, we do ask that they have to be 18 and older and have 2 years of boating experience. Right now, that position is actually not open because we are still kind of getting our vessel up and running. As I mentioned earlier, it is brand new, it's sorry.
It's still shining.
Yes, so we're hoping to open up that volunteer position soon. So any questions about volunteering, feel free to grab my card and shoot me an email, or you can come and talk to me afterwards.
We have one more slide, which I think just says, thank you. So I will just close by saying again, thank you so much for this opportunity. We are really looking to strengthen our collaborations with you all and groups like 100 do not operate alone. We do not operate in a vacuum or a silo. Sounds cliche, but we are stronger together. And again, we're just so happy that we're making this connection and we were able to share just a little bit more about the magic that is Gray's Reef. Anything you want to add?
Just thank you so much for letting us be here. As I mentioned, I am new, so it's very fun for me to get to meet the community, and especially when doing outreach and volunteer, just spread the word of Gray's Reef, and then we all know that it's in your backyard. 19 miles away from your